Special agents, friends, it is time to pass on the pumpkin spice and bring in the eggnog because it is Christmas shopping season. Now get out there and support your economy and show the people you care about that you really do care because you bought them good stuff. I bought myself some good stuff yesterday. I went to the Samsung store, and this is a little bit of a veteran message. It's not Friday, but I'm giving you some VetIntel news you can use. They had a great sale. They had a trade-in, and on top of that, they have a military discount. So the lesson here is to look up whether a company has a military discount when you shop online. Often you just have to type in the name of the company plus military veteran discount, and you will find your answer, and maybe, just maybe, you'll get as good a deal as I got on this beautiful Samsung watch. Wow, I even put a Christmas watch face on there just for you. Now let's get into the show. You couldn't see it when I was wearing it, but it's got the little buttons on there, and I hope you could read in this light Marines on there because we give the gift of freedom. All right. This past weekend, if you are into college football at all, you know that Michigan defeated Ohio State, and it was fabulous. And the deeper part of that story is that Michigan is embroiled in a bit of a scandal because of a staffer who allegedly did in-person scouting of other teams and took video of their signs, so that the idea being that Michigan would have an advantage when they played those schools. The interesting thing, which I find troubling that the news media needs to bring up at every possible turn, is that this person was a Marine Corps captain in a former life and also a Naval Academy graduate. Now, am I mad because this Marine allegedly did some things? I'm more upset that if he did do them, that he didn't do them well enough and he got caught. Now, I know other big name programs out there are doing things just like this, and this Marine, this Naval Academy graduate, couldn't get this operation done without getting caught. That's disappointing, my friends. Now, we're speaking about the Naval Academy, and we're speaking about sports, and we have coming up, not this weekend, I think it's next weekend, we have coming up the Army-Navy game, go Navy. And this year, both uniforms look great. Now, if you're not into these things and you might choose the winner based on which uniform that you think looks best, you're going to have a hard time deciding between the Army and the Navy. How are you going to choose if you have no dog in either fight? Well, that's it for Daily Dose of Veterans Intel Sports Report. Let's get into some news. The big news, at least in the world that I exist in the veteran community today, was at legion.org on the front page for now. The headline is, "We oppose the Plus Act because we stand for veterans." This was sent by National Commander Dan Seehafer. Now, I'm going to just read a couple sections of this. You can read the whole thing there. This got to me. This restored some of my faith in the organization, because up until now, till I read this article, I was unclear as to where the American Legion stood on this issue with for-profit claims companies and accreditation with the VA, but now it is clear. Let me share. Let me say this in the clearest terms possible. Veterans should feel safe and confident when filing for claims, knowing that no matter who they choose for representation, the Department of Veterans Affairs, the VA, has reviewed, approved, and accredited that party. That is why the American Legion opposes the PLUS, Preserving Lawful Utilization of Services for Veterans Act. If enacted, the PLUS Act would transition our system of securing benefits for disabled veterans to an unregulated, profit-driven industry. What could go wrong? Now, I have people out there trying to compare regulating this to communism. It shows that maybe not everybody knows what communism is, but regulation and accreditation do not equal communism or even socialism. You have to be accredited to practice the law. You have to be accredited to be a notary. Why? When you are taking the livelihood of veterans into your hands and representing them to the Department of Veterans Affairs, why should you not be accredited? And it goes deeper. Accreditation means you need to follow some rules. Rules like you cannot charge for an initial claim. You need to stay with that client for the long term through appeals and secondary claims. And then, and only then, will you get a payment of percentage of back pay, and that check is cut by the VA. By the VA. But you have to do the work. You can't just put out fancy advertising, draw people in, and charge them a bunch of money and retire to an island somewhere on the backs of those who have served. So I also hear a lot of talk about, well, this is a solution to a problem, and you need to fix the problem first. And the problem is that we don't have enough VSOs. At least here in Los Angeles County, we have the most veterans of any place. We have more veterans in LA County than a lot of states. And there just aren't enough veteran service officers to take care of them. But is the answer to have unaccredited people who have to follow no rules and are promising things like they are guaranteeing 100% service-connected disability? You cannot promise that. You do not have control over that. And if that is your aim and your goal, what you're doing is gaming the system. You're gaming the system for profit and not for the deserved rating that each service member deserves. Some people may only rate 30%, some people 80%, some people 100%. But for a person representing a veteran in the claims process to guarantee that they will get 100% and to assure them that their claim will float through this system faster than if they didn't pay for their services. That is misinformation. And if you're going to talk about how this issue impacts our economic system, let me remind you that a free market is only free when the consumer has access to good and reliable information so that they can make the best choices for their own best interest. If you are fraudulently giving out misinformation, that is not a pure free economy. And it is illegal. It is already illegal to do this, but the enforcement was taken out some years ago, and there are people out there aiming to bring it back. Now, I'm just reporting this to you here today. I have real friends out there who are on the front lines of this, and unfortunately, there are powers that be that punish them for it. They are making great personal and in some cases professional sacrifices standing up for what they believe is right for veterans. Now, whether you agree or disagree with them, I do not think that a person with good intentions and who is pronouncing that we as a law and order organization should follow the law, And we, as an organization that stands upon the foundation of a bottoms-up, resolution-based mission, if you are speaking from that place, you should never be chastised, punished, or having to make difficult choices and have consequences for those honorable actions. And it actually bothers me a whole lot to see my friends have to go through this. And I'm just here reporting what's going on. I have my own issues with the organization, but this is wrong. There's no other really word to use. It is wrong that my friends who are just out there speaking their opinion, referencing actual law, referencing actual resolutions in their organization, are being taken to task for that. It's just not right. In fact, it's wrong. So back to the problem. The problem being that there aren't enough VSOs in certain areas, correct? Now, remember the for-profit people that do it legally, they get a percentage of lump sum. So let's say you put in a claim, you get denied, you put in an appeal, and it takes 2-3 years. So you're talking about 24 to 36 months of back pay. Now, out of that lump sum back pay, that is where they get their percentage. And it's not some crazy number either. It's a reasonable percentage, and the veteran themselves does not have to write the check. That check comes from the VA. So if the for-profit companies who are doing this legally are getting a little cut, but the veteran service organizations that provide the veteran service officers are not getting this cut, that means it's only being funded through the membership in the organization, part of the dues. I propose that the same percentage that goes to the for-profit accredited, legal, legitimate claims agents also be offered to the veteran service organizations, with the caveat that those funds are earmarked only for funding veteran services officers and expanding to hire even more. Now, in a place like Los Angeles where the traffic is high, there's a potential there to generate revenue to be able to hire more people, thus solving the problem, or at least putting a dent in the problem. We need to find creative solutions that work within the confines of the law, but outside of the box that we're currently operating in. That is how we are going to solve the problem. We are not going to solve the problem by allowing people to come in with no rules, no accreditation, no vetting, and just do what they got to do and be good, slick salespeople and get people's money. And by people, I mean my brothers and sisters who served and are suffering, and now they need to pay. And if we are going to create a system from those who served, where only those who can afford it can get good representation, then I think we have a problem. I think we have a problem because if we handle this, we can put a dent in homelessness, because homeless people cannot pay thousands of dollars to file an initial claim. People who have housing insecurity, food insecurity, raising children by themselves, they cannot afford to pay thousands of dollars. This is the root of the problem. And this is why it is so important to me. When I think about how many veterans are sleeping on the streets and they cannot afford to have a claims person do this on a for-profit basis, but they need to get into this system. They need to start getting access to these resources so that they can dig themselves out of that situation. And people have different insecurities. People have certain challenges. They're left being a single parent or whatever it is. They do not have the resources to be able to pay thousands of dollars for this. And it needs to be how it was designed, so that they could submit their claims at no charge to them. That was the mission. And now our mission is to return to the mission. And Commander Seehafer also went on to request assistance. Request assistance by joining the movement. That it just takes a few clicks. You don't have to get your steps in and march on any streets. You just go to the link I'm going to provide for you here, and you go in and you let your elected officials know that this is important. There's a pre-written message. You don't have to do anything. I always add my own paragraph or two above the pre-written message to add a little personal perspective, a little emotion, a little drama, if you find that easy to believe. And I ask you to do the same. I ask you to do the same for those people who have served. I ask you to do the same to give weight to the work of the people who were on the front lines doing this personally and professionally, sacrificing themselves for the betterment of others. And I ask you to do it for your community. If you're in the American Legion, you know one of our mottos is that we serve community, state, and nation. And you can fulfill that part of your oath just by going to Voters Voice, giving your contact information. They will match you with your legislator and getting that out. That's all you have to do. And if you do that, my friends, I'm going to guarantee when that extra large man comes down your chimney, he's not going to leave you a lump of coal. No. He may in fact leave you with a cape, because you will become a superhero in this fight for veterans.